Hello, good morning friends. I am Jaideep Sharma from Indira Gandhi National Open University and we will be discussing the topic LIS education issues and challenges. We will be doing it in continuity with our last session where we had started with LIS education issues and challenges. In the last session we had discussed about the history, the status and then we had taken up challenges, and in the challenges we had discussed about the admission, about the students, what sort of intake we really need, how do we really prepare that intake, and then we will continue with the discussion today. We had ended up about the teachers that we require for LIS education. So, today we intend to discuss the courses, the repositories, resources, the evaluation, research, the role of professional associations as well as the issue of accreditation and internship. So, this is what we intend to discuss in this session today. We will start with the modes of LIS education that are there, that we are really offering to our students across the country. If we think about the modes, you will agree with me that we are moving towards the integrated mode of LIS education. We started with 1+1 mode of education, the first year devoted to the bachelor's degree in library information science and the second year to the master's degree in library information science. With the changing trend, we have moved on to integrated mode wherein we offer 2 years masters in LIS. It has an advantage of its own that we, as it is there for other disciplines, the master's degree of 2 years, similarly we are also offering masters of 2 years, and therefore we admit our students for 2 years and after 2 years they get a master's, integrated master's degree. But then there is a little drawback in this mode. That drawback is that those students who want to leave after 1 year, they are not able to leave. So, there should be an option for those who want to leave after 1 year, they are awarded a bachelor's degree in library information science. Though some of the universities have given this option also to the learners, particularly our learners who are graduates and postgraduates otherwise, who have reached such an age that they would like to take up jobs after first year. I think it is for the benefit of such people that we should offer this option, that they may leave after 1 year and they may take up a job, they may take up something else, and then later on in life if they want to continue with their education, they may be offered this. So, there must be an option of lateral entry, and therefore, those schools that are offering this option, I think people prefer this and they intend to join such institutions. There are still some universities that are offering 1+1, BLS 1 year, MLS 1 year, particularly those that are offering LIS education in the distance mode, because the students, the learners who are joining distance mode, they are either in jobs or they are those who want to pursue it one by one, they may also like to have a gap in between. Therefore, it is still continuing with that in such universities. Now, let us come to the different programs that we have, or you may call them as courses. Like we are pursuing in some of the universities the same old pattern that we had, the annual system of examination and the course structure that we had as had been recommended by the Curriculum Development Committee in 2001. But many universities are shifting to the CBCS, choice based credit system. If we really look into the way they are offering choice based credit system, there are certain areas that need to be discussed, that need to be evaluated and need to be refined. They need to improve upon certain areas. That is a discussion in its own, and we may have a separate session to discuss on how to implement choice based credit system. With the advantage of choice based credit system that is there, and also the recommendation of the University Grants Commission, I think in the future we need to really follow choice based credit system. But then at the same time there is an issue that UGC has still not given a common curriculum for choice based credit system for the universities, and therefore, not all universities, not many universities in the country have really come up with CBCS curriculum. but those that are coming up with CBCS curriculum, it is found that there is a large variation in their curricula. And on the other hand, when the UGC has given minimum common curricula for other universities, it is intended that there should be a standardization as far as curriculum is concerned. That standardization would enable the learners to have intra as well as inter university movement, that they may pursue certain courses for a particular time period in one university, they may move to some other university, and thus the flexibility is there. So, in component of standardization is not there, that movement is restricted. So, it is better we get a minimum common curricula for CBCS and we implement it in the LIS discipline also. The next is, as CBCS also says, and otherwise also we have been pursuing, we should offer core courses. So, that is one very important component. What should be the core courses? Though with time, as developments take place in a discipline, core courses also change. But if we see library information science, where there is a lot of vibrancy, a number of things are changing, particularly due to the influx of information communication technology, particularly due to the changes that are there in the scholarly world, particularly with the changes that are taking place in other disciplines, LIS being interdisciplinary in nature. I think we need also consider how do we bring in changes in the core courses that we are offering. We will take up a little later about these core courses. The next is, when we talk of core courses as well as electives, we also need to take into consideration a balance among the traditional and the non-traditional courses that we are offering in different universities. It used to be quite stable if we see a decade back as far as the balance is there, because generally in universities we had just introduced computer and communication technology. It began with one course in bachelor's degree and one course in master's degree. With the changing time, it moved on to 2 courses, and later on it is on the increase. We are also trying to have courses from the management area, more courses. It used to be a minimum course of library management, but now we are having more courses. But we need to really think whether these have to be core courses or these have to be the electives. So, we will take up the different core courses that are really required in our discipline, and then we need to really think about, because we have to have that inclusion of courses within the maximum that are there, 8 or 9 courses in a particular year. Even if we talk of a semester, if we break up our year into 2 semesters, it can be 4 plus 5 or 5 plus 4. So, generally if it can be 36 credits, 32 credits. So, we have to have that maximum, and within that we have to really think of what to include, what not to include. Similarly, if we are thinking of 1 year bachelor's degree, 1 year master's degree, or we are talking of 2 years master's degree, again we have to really think in terms of what courses, because you cannot think of the same in 1+1 as well as 2 year integrated. If you are talking of 1+1, since there is a discontinuity, it has to be different, whereas in a 2 year integrated, the same set of students, if they pursue for 2 years, it has to be different, because you can leave certain things in the first year, because you know that the students will be there for the second year also, and those which you have left in the first year, you may like to continue with them in the second year. So, this is an area that we need to consider. Another very important issue is, when we discuss the core courses, is the specialization. There is an increasing feeling as well as reality that most of our courses are general in nature. There is an increasing generality as far as our curricula is concerned. So, we need to consciously think about developing specialization in our discipline. We need to produce specialists. We need to see that we have people who have an increasing specialization in particular areas, and when we really need their advice, we go on to seek advice from these specialists. It is not that we produce jack of all trades and master of none. Though general subjects are required to be offered, but then people need to have specialization in different areas as per the requirement of the discipline, and we need to produce literature also in that area. So, when we produce specialists, they will also produce literature. When we need to prepare specialists, we need to have literature. So, these two things are quite connected with each other. So, we will talk about the specialization also. Now, another very important area, we generally have practical papers. We call them practice and practical. Initially, we never had practicals, we used to have only practice. We were practicing practice on the paper and pen. We generally used to have cataloging and classification, since it was not possible to examine our students in a practical way, and for that we really required labs and ask our students to go to the labs and practically classify, catalog or do reference queries. That was not there. Therefore, we were asking them practical questions on, and they would attempt with pen and paper. But then with the introduction of computer communication technology, we started having practical papers. So, what to include in practical, what not to include, because we begin with very simple things. We used to teach them basic software, and similarly now things are moving. What to include in the practical papers and what to do away with those things, that is very important. So, we will discuss all these things one by one. So, let us start with the core courses. As we can, I think we all agree that when we talk of core courses, the domains that we have to cover, one is the document or information, two is preparing, processing those documents or information. When we talk of document information, it includes printed, it includes non-printed, it includes electronic, it includes the web. And the third component is the user. You talk about the user or you talk about the consumer, you may say digital consumer or whatever you call. So, these are the three basic things, that the three basic areas that help us to formulate our core areas or core courses. You would also agree, as we have been doing in the past, that we begin with the first context setting course, whether it is the bachelor's degree or the master's degree. We call it the library and society, library and information society, or we also call it information communication and society. So, we began with library and society, we also changed it to library and information society, and at the master's level we used to call that basic context setting paper as the information communication and society. So, that is a very important course, and generally it is seen that universities are pursuing with that course. They also call it fundamentals of information communication and society. So, whether you call it fundamentals, you call it introduction or whatever, but that is the context setting course, and it is generally agreed that we should offer this course. Though there are certain institutions that are moving towards the non-traditional, that stress more on technology, maybe that they would like to part away with this course, but then the importance of the course is that one should understand the clients, one should understand what is happening around us, and that helps us to really design, create, serve. Therefore, it is very important that we understand the society to which we have to serve. But then it is an important issue that we need to consider, that we added the word information in the curricula, but then how much of information we were covering? We were still sticking to library only, or we were trying to modify the things, moving away from the library. But then this is a very difficult issue to discuss, that whether we need to teach our students about the library, also the different types of libraries. Do we need to really talk of the buildings? Do we really need to talk of the legislation? All these aspects have been important. The laws of library science, some universities are trying to limit all these things. Some universities are still teaching these in detail, but then it is a very debatable issue, because the theory of library science would really vanish, would really fade away We may like to teach information, we may like to teach technology, but at the same time we should also realize that our theory is also very important. Though things are changing, times are changing, but then we also need to build upon these theories and include them as curricula. Once you have the libraries, you need to manage them. So, we used to teach them as two different courses. One was library administration as an introductory course to the bachelor's degree students, and in the next, in the master's degree, you used to teach them library management. In some universities, they now call it library administration and management. In some universities, they are still offering that as two different courses. It began as library organization, it moved on to library administration, library management. So, it is important that the rules, routines, functions, operations are need to be taught to the students. Then only they come on to managing, learning managing, theories of management and different types of management, financial management, human resource management, and we also teach them disaster management and things like that. So, the decision needs to be taken on that, what to do away with. It is a general feeling that we may do away with library routines, we may not like to teach them administration, but then these are all very important. If you do not want to teach them as a part of the syllabus, then you may like to put your students on training in libraries, let them learn administration there. So, it is that we have to take a call on this particular aspect. The next important part that we need to include as core course in our curricula is the information sources and services. That information sources and services, we begin as documentary sources only, but now we should shift away to other sources also. We should in fact stress on these, the electronic resources, the web resources, because these are the main resources that are being used and are also giving service to our users. But then if we have them as part of our curricula, we should see that there is a change in that, like the way we used to teach them evaluation of these resources, the way we had classified these resources, these things are changing now. Similarly, we should also include that in our curricula and also as part of our literature that is there, so that our students are well aware of these things. Because see, you say the society feels that everything is available at the click of a mouse, but then those who are accessing these resources, they are not experts to evaluate these resources. So, we need to train our students in these aspects. They should be experts, they should be specialists of these different types of resources. They should be able to guide the people that which is really the best for them, and that should be part of our paper on information sources and services. We used to have the curricula on information services, and that also need to be modified in the way things are changing on the web and the digital world. But then this has to be a core course. The next course that we used to have as part of our curricula was document processing. Now it is information processing, and again this also has modified, but then whether we would like to name it in a different way, because some of the universities used to call it information processing and retrieval, now we are calling information recall and retrieval, but then the whatever name, but we should be able to relate them, we should be able to contextualize them and see that our core courses do not suffer on the context of the lack of literature or lack of theory. So, it is the theory that is there that really sifts down to the material that is really usable by our students in the form of textbooks and other relevant literature. So, the next course, as I mentioned, is information retrieval, and that also should change shape with the changes in the means and media of providing information. So, it is no more the retrieval that we used to have in the traditional world. With the web world, this retrieval too has to change. The concept of relevancy has changed. since a lot of players are involved in providing information, all these factors need to be considered, but then the core course has to remain the way it used to be, because that is what is our forte. Now, the another course that was there as part of other courses like information services and all, I believe that we need to have a core course on information users, because there is a sea change in the users today, particularly when we are talking of digital information. It is the users as well as the information that has made a change in the users. So, there has to be one course on information users, and that is a quite a comprehensive course that can be built on, and I think that should be part of as the curriculum as a core course. We used to have research methodology as an elective, but with the passage of time, with the increasing importance of research, now this is being shifted to being a part of the core courses. So, research methodology also should be a core course, but then it is a wide area that needs to be covered. So, if we are talking at the level of masters or bachelors, we need to introduce that, and later on with the higher degrees like MPhil and PhD coursework, we can have the advances in research methodology that can be included. Actually, as we had discussed in last session also, when a particular course is to be taught at different levels, there has to be an upgradation. We need to be very clear of the objectives that we intend to cover in the course. So, that is very important to be taken care of when we talk of the core course, same core course at different levels. Though we could not imagine research methodology at master's level, we used to teach only at the MPhil level. Now, we are coming down at master's level, and there is an increasing trend that research methodology should also be part of bachelor's degree courses. So, a time might come very soon in another 2, 3, 5 years when we will see research methodology as part of bachelor's degree also. Now, let us talk of the electives. So, when we talk of the electives, basically this is an era of marketing. So, we need to talk of marketing of information, because particularly when we feel that people are feeling that everything is available at the click of a mouse, one can really find information, we need to market ourselves. So, we should develop a course on marketing of information. It is not that universities are not offering, schools are offering marketing, but then at times there is a feeling amongst the professional, what marketing, because we are generally not used to marketing information, though we had been doing, even our 5 laws had taught us, but then not with the word marketing we were very familiar, but then since this is really required today, we need to train our users in this area of marketing, and consciously we have to train our users, because otherwise our identity is at risk. Therefore, this is a very important paper that we really need to teach as an elective. Another very important elective, particularly again when we are talking of web enabled information, web enabled services, is content creation and management. So, that is an elective that we need to offer as a core course when we talk of ICT. When we talk of ICT as a core course, it has to be 1, 2 or 3 whatever, but then in every course, whether it is information processing or it is information sources or any other course, the component of information communication technology has to be there. So, one as a core course, as a separate course, wherein we teach really technology per se, we teach the hardcore technology, we teach the software, we teach digitization, techniques, tools, but at the same time in all other courses the component, the application of technology, how things are moving with the increasing digitization, with the increasing input of technology, that also has to be part of our courses. So, that is there in core courses, but when you talk of electives, we need to really talk of creating contents, managing contents, making it available to the users. So, that also has to be part of electives. Similarly, another elective that they are having there, Earlier that was preservation, we were talking of preservation of documents, but today we have to have digital preservation. One is digital preservation, the other is digital preservation as technique, as tools, but also how do we really manage digital preservation of information and how do we really do it in libraries. That is another important area that has to be an elective course. Bibliometrics, infometrics, scientometrics, webometrics, ultrametrics, altmetrics, all these are there. They are very popular these days as an elective course. Sometimes people feel that can be a core course also, but then it is a debatable issue, but that has to be a component, and a majority view is that it has to be a elective course. At times some of the universities have included bibliometrics with research, but then research itself is such a wide course that if you club these two, bibliometrics with research, I think you will not be able to do justice. Therefore, if you club it, then there have to be some of the components that you need to teach in other semesters, or somehow one has to cover, but then it is always better to have these at two separate courses. You know, library science is a service sector. We need to serve our users. We have to be very good communicators. And again, we have observed there has been an opinion in the profession that our students are not good communicators. Therefore, of late in many universities there has been a new course that has come up, and that is communication skills, and it has been included as a core course. So, it depends whether you include it as a core course or you find out ways and means that helps our students to build their communication skills. Communication skills means oral as well as written, and therefore, it can be an important course. Some of these are non-credit courses, but then it has to be a credit course, because only if it is a credit course then students take it seriously, otherwise they do not really find it very important. Therefore, one is communication skills, the other can be included as an elective, that is technical communication. That is another important area that if our students pursue, they have very good employment opportunities also, and otherwise also there is, this is an area which libraries have an important role to play, and they have to provide services, and therefore, we need to develop our students in this area so that they are absorbed to provide these services to our clientele. Now, these are the courses that have to be taken as electives, but then courses are there. At times there is a feeling that all these have been discussed at various fora and also have been felt and are also being offered. In spite of this, our students at times are not very fit in the service, they are really lacking. And why is it so? So, there are reasons for that. One reason is that teaching techniques, the other is the literature that is available to them, and the third is the training aspect, fourth the practicals that are there, and fifth the internship. So, all these really affect the quality of the students. So, we will take up these things one by one. If we start with the internship, any profession like LIS, let us look into law, let us look into management, medicine or any other, journalism, you find that they have a practical component, they put their students on internship. It is being felt, and many of the universities and schools, they have included internship, but then it is not in many of the universities and many of the schools. It is high time that we put our students to internship, and no school should allow the students to be awarded a degree till they have really done some internship in an institution. Why is that not been done? Long back in 1965, the review committee also had said that our students should be put on internship. After that, various conferences, seminars, bodies, they have always recommended, the curriculum development committees, that our students should be there on internship. There should be a mechanism wherein every students goes through an internship program. The period may vary, it may be 3 months, it may be 6 months, it may be 2 months as per the requirement and facilities that are available in the university, but then it has to be very systematic, well planned internship program that needs to be offered to our students. Now, why it is not being done? The reason is that we do not have the labs for them. We do not have the institutions that are willing to provide facilities for our students. I think all departments should have tie up with various institutions. There is no lack of institutions, it is only the lack of the will that is there. So, no curricula should be allowed to be approved or passed through the relevant bodies until and unless there is a provision for our students to be put to internship, and that internship should not only be for the sake of it, it should be a very well planned systematic effort wherein the involvement of the faculty, students, the mentor, the institution, all has to be a very active participation. Then only our students will be able to really contextualize what they have learned. In fact, they should be put to provide service to our clientele, and therefore, that only will really help our learners to really realize what they have been taught theoretically, how it is really benefiting them to providing services, and this is how it goes with other professions also. Now, professional associations too have a role to play in that. If the departments, if the libraries are not able to really come up to solving this issue, I think national and state level associations can also play a role here and help them to really see that this comes up. Now, let us come to teaching. Again, there is nothing new when we say that lecturing is not the only way. We need to see that our students participate while they learn. They also teach, they also discuss, they participate in discussions. This is a postgraduate program. So, our students are quite developed that they may participate in teaching learning. It should not be one way. The teaching should be student centric, it should be participative, and this is now possible also with the developments in technology, with the developments that the course material is available in different ways. You have the learning repositories that are there, you have the facilities to students that they can learn from different ways, means and methods. But then still, if they are not really making use of these different resources that are available, that have been made available at the level of the country as well as internationally, I think we also look into these repositories. If they are available, what is lacking there? If you think of these repositories that are there beyond the books and all, you see that there are two aspects that need to be considered. The design aspect of these, if they have been really created, is it a flat one way lecturing only? Can we include live classroom like situations also, record them, make them available in the repositories, so that our learners, what they think may be that the real live situations that have been captured, there too the learners have put that questions, and that help really learning those students also. We need to evaluate these recordings that are available, we need to improve upon them, we need to update them. There has to be such a mechanism. I think then the students will really take benefit of these alternative resources that are there, and that will help them learn from them. When you talk of teaching, we have discussed in the last session also that our teachers need to update themselves. There are different ways, means and methods, and we need to provide them more regularly. I think that would enable better learning and produce better learners. So, this is as far as teaching is concerned. Now, let us talk of specialization. As we have discussed earlier also, that it is generally felt that this is a generalized program, this discipline is general in nature. So, I think it is our efforts that have been lacking to produce specialists. For that, our students should be provided a mentor sort of a person who helps them take up specialization. Initially, our students are lost whenever they have to take specialization, which courses they should take. As was discussed in the last presentation, if we think of demand and supply, if those results are made available, our students beyond their innate capabilities, beyond their really what they really want to do, that would help them to take up specialization, they would also be guided by the results that are available as far as demand is there, that would also enable them to take up a specialization and pursue it as a career. But then here the role of mentor is very important. He should be there along with these students and guide them as per their capabilities, as per their limitations, what specialization they should take up. Specialization is also not built up because they are not able to pursue that specialization as far as jobs are concerned. So, if you really think in terms of demand that is there, that would also provide them jobs in that area. So, it is not that 1 or 2 years one learns a particular specialization and one becomes a specialist. No, it is not that. Beyond that, one has to produce articles, write papers, participate in such conferences, and thus enables, this takes them further in their learning, produce books in that area, take up jobs, train people in that area. So, this is how one builds specialization. So, specialization is very important, and thus the specialization that our students take up, they keep on pursuing that for years together, 5 years, 10 years, and then the role of mentor is not required beyond that, and then they pursue with that, they enjoy that, and they are called specialists in that area. It is one area wherein people have really specialized, that is bibliometrics, and people have taken that along because they have produced literature in that area, they have identified them in that area. I think similarly it should be for other particular specializations also. Now, the other issue is evaluation. Evaluation is also very important. The objective of evaluation is that it should be as real as possible, it should be as objective as possible, the element of subjectivity should be minimized, and it should also enable the students to develop their critical thinking skills, it should enable them to be logical, it should enable them to be reflective, it should also help them develop their presentation skills, oral as well as written. So, inclusion of seminars, the inclusion of practicals, but that too has to be very innovative on the part of teachers as well as students. I think that would help build the image of the profession, would help give the employers the type of people that they really want, and it has to be a two-way effort, and while the students are there on internship, that would also help students to develop their skills, and it will be real objective evaluation of the students. Now, a very important area that we have been stressing in different professional forums is that of accreditation. Accreditation is also important. We have different bodies in different professions like the Medical Council of India, Bar Council, and similarly we also need to build such a body so that we accredit our courses. That would help both the profession, learners as well as the participants all. So, in that direction I think the national level professional associations have a role to play. They need to liaison with bodies, and it is high time we seriously come up with such a body so that our courses are also accredited. We see what levels of courses that we have. It is not that you build 100% similar courses and different places in different departments. That is how UGC also has said in its CBCS, 80% similarity is important. You may have variations to the extent of 20%. So, as far as the resources are available, as far as the capacity is there, as far as the increasing availability of things is there, the departments may have variations in their curricula, but then 80% similarity is there, so that movement of students across departments is also there. So, we have been discussing very important area, the challenges and issues that we are facing in LIS education, But then when you talk of these challenges and issues in LIS education, it is not merely the teachers who have to take up, it is the students, it is the practicing librarians who have to come together and take up these challenges, and together we have to face these challenges and come up with solutions. There are many more such that can be discussed in further discussions, and thank you for being with us. Any questions, we would welcome them. Thank you.